Welcome to Sober.Coffee, a weekly coffee chat sharing experience, strength, and hope for anyone on the sober road to recovery. You can download Sober.Coffee weekly on all podcast platforms and check us out on Instagram at Sober.Coffee Podcast and on Twitter at Sober.Coffee Pod. To learn more about us and to help support these sessions, visit online at Sober.Coffee. Here are your hosts, two guys on their own path to recovery, Mike and Glenn. Let's join them at the coffee shop.
Wow, we're having a party at the coffee shop today,
Dude,
Glenn.
it is a party tonight.
I hear Philadelphia's in the room. That's exciting.
Philadelphia Freedom. Let's call them Philadelphia Freedom.
I mean, how long does it take the dude to commute into our coffee shop,
man,
you know?
You know what? It's a popular shop tonight, and I just want to be the first one to say to you, Mikey, happy anniversary.
Happy anniversary. Can you believe it's been I can hardly believe it's been a year.
It has been 1 year, and what they say in podcast world is the only thing you need to do to be at the top of the charts is survive.
That's right.
So that was our goal. You and I committed to 1 year, and we'll chat about a little bit about that through the night. But you know, we committed a year ago to a year, and we just hit the year, and we just recommitted. But we've done amazing things this last year, man. We've really grown, you and I personally.
Absolutely.
And
well, you've grown a little more than me, but that's a different topic.
Yeah, but I'm trying to lose those pounds. So,
all right.
You know,
My bad.
Don't kick me when I'm fat. Right?
All right, my bad.
So, all right. So, happy anniversary, 1 year. We've had 70 episodes that have been published. That's amazing. We've had some amazing guests, amazing stories. We talked about tools. You know, we talked about the sober path and experience, strength, and hope. We really focused on experience, strength, and hope. And so, for our little anniversary session tonight, we're doing what we normally do. We wing it.
We're totally winging it tonight. I mean, we have no idea what's going on. We just sent out some invites. We said, come on, join us for our party. And here we are. We got the coffee shop is open. We got a half a dozen people with us, and we're just going to share a little bit about the show, its impact, and sobriety in general. You know, our whole goal was to make a positive impact on somebody's path, their own path to recovery. And maybe they hear one thing out of our episode that helps them in their journey. And that's my hope for tonight, too. We're going to celebrate, but it's also my hope that maybe we learn a little bit as we move through the night.
Yeah, that's great. So guys, thanks for jumping on with us. Boy, we're filling the room up here, and we're going to go. We have probably an hour and a half, you know, open. We may not go that long, but again, we're just going to wing it just like we normally do. But one of the things I want to focus on, and as we talk about our sobriety, is, you know, Mike and I were talking, hey, what's folks' favorite slogan, right? That they kind of like.
I know Megan's. That's good. She says, that's good shit.
That's good shit.
I love that. Yeah, right.
That's awesome. So, favorite slogan or a tool that you like to use for sobriety, maybe your favorite tool. And as a listener, what might be your favorite episode?
Right. There you go. So we got a couple of people in the room. I see a couple of people we're doing this virtually and mobily. So we got a couple of people in the cars. But hey, let me first say hello to everybody. I've got Don and Tom has joined us in the coffee shop. Caesar, Patrick, and Timmy from Philadelphia, and Megan. So we got a couple people in the coffee shop. Patrick, welcome. You're mobile right now. Where you headed, my friend? Hold on, you're unmute yourself. There you go. Just like Zoom rooms. Hold on, we can't hear you. Oh, technology. This will be fun once we get it down. There you go, Patrick. You're gold.
All right, Patrick. What's up, brother?
Hey, guys. Yeah, wrapping up a 12-hour day here, and, you know, business as usual. So it's good to start the day with sobriety, and it's good to tap in on the way home with it. So thanks for having me, and I'm here to listen.
All right, man.
That's great,
man.
Thanks
for supporting us.
On 1 year.
Thanks, man.
Yeah,
thanks for your
stuff.
support, Patrick. So we want to say hi to Timmy from Philadelphia Freedom, Timmy. So, Tim, I think I told this story before kind of in one of the episodes, but we met in Twitter, right? And
Is that a real room?
You know what?
It was Twitter.
Yeah, so I've got the Stay Sober Today @Stay Sober Today Twitter account, right? It's kind of anonymous. if you tried to find me, you probably couldn't, right? Who it really was, right? So Tim reached out, and we were starting chatting back and forth about sobriety, and I said, dude, you probably should go to a room. And then he finally told me he's from a section of Philadelphia,
which you're from,
which is where I'm
right.
from. I'm like, brother, man, we're like neighbors, like from where I grew up,
right?
And he's like, I can remember him saying, and I think I remember it right, Tim. You're like, man, I don't want to go into the rooms. People are going to recognize me in the rooms. I just don't want, I don't want people knowing I have a problem. And I'm like, yeah, dude, but they have the same problem. They're in the same rooms for the same reason. And so we talked through that for a while. Long story short, Tim, because it's been several years now. How long do you have sober today?
Today I have a little over 2.5 years.
Dude,
Wow,
that is
awesome.
absolutely fantastic. And you have a sponsor today, right?
Yep.
And you worked the program, right? The 12 steps?
Yeah.
And I think if I remember correctly, you were chairing and really getting involved, right?
Yeah.
Dude, that's fantastic. Congratulations.
That's great. So did you guys have this relationship with your thumbs, or did you take it offline and pick up the phone?
No, I think we eventually talked several times.
Right.
But it took a while, Tim, right? It took.
Yeah. You gave me your number, and then I was hesitant to call for a long time, and then you sent over like a link to a podcast where you told your story, and I think like a week later I was on the phone with you.
Oh, that's right. I was on somebody else's podcast, and that was way back when. So that was years ago, man. And so Tim and I have stayed connected, man. I've been cheering for you. I'm so proud of you, and I'm so happy, man. You found sobriety in 2.5 years. That's great.
Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome, man. That is awesome. And what do you think of this? What do you think of the podcast? Give us a little critique. No, not me. Just give Glenn a little critique.
No, I like it. It's relaxed. It's got a little bit of humor to it, but it's always centered around sobriety.
Right.
I love it.
Yeah. So hey, if you have a chance, did you check out Megan's story? Megan's story was early episode, probably. I got the list in front of me, but probably one of our first dozen. It's really powerful. So recommendation to you, I'm going to pull Megan into the conversation here, but recommendation, check it out. It's a great story. And she will in fact say that. Is your daughter still in the room? Okay. If she's not, okay, she'll say the shit word, because we'll be in a meeting right on Zoom, and all of a sudden she'll chime in and she'll go, "That's good shit," and that's when I know we've got her attention. How you doing, Megan?
Hey guys,
Hey.
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, we can hear you great. Yeah, and I saw your daughter was joining us for our celebratory 1 year.
Yeah, she was. That's why I come out to the car. So maybe she will leave me alone. But
They follow. They're like puppies. They know where the food bowl is. Right.
It's so funny because she'll be like, "Are you on mute? Are you on mute, Mom? Can I talk to you?" It's cute.
She understands the Zoom etiquette. I love it.
Yeah, she does.
All right.
Megan's story was April 18th, 21.
So almost a year ago.
She was our first guest.
Yeah, it's good.
Thank
it's
you,
a good
Megan.
Listen. And
wait, I was the first one ever?
You were the first.
You were the first guest.
You were the first guest in studio guest. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, and since then, hundreds of people have listened to your story, and so that's fantastic.
I've had some critiques. I guess something that I do when I'm nervous is clear my throat. So my sister listened to it, and she's like, "You cleared your throat 27 times." Like that.
That's awesome.
The word.
And I never was really aware of it until, so I guess it served its purpose. So now I'm really aware of when I clear my throat. And anybody that knows me, I shared my story at Mokina breakfast a couple weeks ago, and my sponsor Karen was in the audience 1, 2, 3 every time I cleared my throat.
Now that's funny right there. So one of my response. So behind the counter, Glenn does all our social media. He does the Instagram, the Twitter, which I have no idea, except me and Elon Musk are on the same board now at Twitter. That's all I know. But he does that, and then I do the website, right? So one of my jobs was to write summaries. So I had to go back and listen to 70 episodes. You know how annoying it is to listen to yourself? It's I'm oh, it sounds like I'm sucking helium for starters. And then I'm like, what did you just say?
No, I think that's why we have
2.5
2.5 million listens, because you just listen to yourself over and over
Yeah,
and over
right.
again.
I've continued download. Hey, we got a couple other people jumped in. Don, welcome to our celebratory anniversary. Paul, welcome. Good to see you. Tommy O.
Gentlemen, Tommy O.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thanks so much, Don. Thanks for stopping in. So we got Philly now. Now we got Texas, right? Do we got a little Texas in the room, or are you back in town, Don?
Oh, yeah, I'm back in Illinois.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
I'm with the grandchildren. So.
all right, we'll scratch off Texas from our list, our guest list. You know, when I go to weddings, you know, they got the book out there. This is a Mikey. You're gonna love this. You can use this if you'd like, but I always sign the current president's name in the guest book. You know, so this year's when people are passing around the guest book, I sign Joseph Biden. Is that bad?
Of course you do, Mike.
Yeah.
That is a total Mikeism.
Yeah, some of us are sicker than others.
That's right, Don. Don, I think you have your hands full.
Yeah, you got that right. So yeah, Don is my sponsor. And
Don, welcome.
So I'm going to get in big trouble tomorrow. I have a feeling tomorrow's topic in our coffee is going to be ego, you know, and getting myself in check. So I'm prepared for that. I'm sure he'll have me reading page 164 of Vision for You in the big book. And Paul, welcome, man. Good to see you.
Congratulations to you guys. That is awesome. 1 year.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. Good stuff.
Yeah, we just started this out. It kind of started with Mikey, because Mikey's got a big passion for newcomers, and he's always thinking about, you know, what can I do for newcomers, you know? And he started a 6 p.m. newcomer meeting right away in Zoom when COVID hit. I mean, it was almost immediate.
Yeah, March 20th. Yep.
Yeah, it's great. And folks started to show up. We had 5 people the first night, and then, you know, if I remember, we've had as high as 50 or 55 or 60.
Right.
You know,
right. It's still going strong. Yeah. Megan was there. Paul was there. Right.
Yeah, it's just amazing. And so I thought, well, what's a way, especially with COVID, another way to get out there for folks who, you know, they don't want to jump in the room. Mm-hmm. They're not ready to jump in the room, but they're sober curious. You know, that's a real popular term out there today, the sober curious. And, you know, just like we were chatting with Tim, you know, we were out there on social media and just trying to connect and just trying to make connections and share stories and see what folks are about and kind of share some experience, strength, and hope. And, you know, stuff happens, you know. So, you know, Mike and I sat down and we said, hey, how about podcasts? And you know, here we are today. We committed to 1 year. We did 70 episodes, and we just committed for the second year.
Right. And keep in mind that when we started, I did research, and I could only find about 20, 30 podcasts that were out there in that I found lists of, that identifiable podcasts for recovery. Now those same resources uncover 60. There's like 60, right? So in the past year, I've seen the number go from 20 to 60, and you know, that's still, I think, is a small number for people who are looking for information on recovery, you know, and this is how the new generation is finding things, because they're, you know, because the online is giving them so much more options where they can recover mobily.
No, that's great. Another channel, and that's kind of what we started exploring, and we didn't know what we were doing then, and we still don't now. We just get on and we try to pick a topic. We have some pretty cool guests, you know, that come on, and you know, there's been a lot of learnings.
So chime in, guests of the room. What ideas do you have as we go into our second year here? Those of you that have listened, you know, kind of what we've covered. Things like acceptance and asking for help is the most recent one, very popular one. And if nothing changes, nothing changes. But what do you think the newcomer? What do you think? What chord do we need to strum for the newcomer? That's really going to give them something to hold on to. Anybody?
Hello, Don again.
Yeah, Don.
I remember when I first came in the rooms, I was just on fire, and I wanted to make amends to everybody, and then everything would be fine. But it didn't work out that way with my sponsor. But I kept harping on it. I got to start making amends. And I wasn't even through the first step yet. Mm-hmm. And he gave me the tip to do a living amends. Mm-hmm. I said, what's a living amends? And he said, do you know why you need to make an amends and what amends you're going to make? I said, yeah. He said, well, stop doing that. Don't do that anymore.
Yeah.
And that will be your living amends until you're ready to make a proper amends. Because he told me if I was like him when I first started in Alcoholics Anonymous, not only did the people I was saying sorry to didn't believe me, I didn't believe it. He said, you need, the steps are in order for a reason. If you're struggling with the step, we're a step ahead of ourselves. So slow down and we will get through them all in the proper sequence. And that was a huge relief for me. That I didn't have to make amends and make everything right in the first week.
Yeah. You know, you bring something up there that you remind me of often in our coffee sessions, and that is, and I'm going to repeat it almost word for word, but if you're struggling with something, then let's identify what step you think we probably need to go back a step. And I found that to be true as we've worked together, that's usually the root cause. Yeah. Good stuff.
But at least a good place to start.
Right.
So Don, you have a quick story that I just love. It's your exit sign story.
Oh yeah, right.
Oh, yeah. When I first came in, I been around since October 25th, 2009. Of course, we was at Aurelio's, behind Aurelio's there, and in that small rectangular room, if everybody knows, there's only one door. The other door on the west wall was always bolted. So nobody could get in or out of that. And that's where I sat. And straight across the table was the only clock in the room. And I would concentrate on that clock a lot more than the speakers. And it got so bad in those 9 months, I was sitting in there saying I was going to AA, still drinking, and going to a meeting. And it was a Friday night meeting, 8 p.m., Tony D. And it was just so happened I got, for $1, I got a cup of coffee and free pizza. So I could sober up and go home and truthfully say I've been in an AA meeting. But as time went on, so did I. And my drinking got worse. And so I ended up at the tables. I came back in the rooms. I came back in the tables. I sat down at the table, but on the opposite side of the room. So now I'm facing westward, looking at that bolted door. And right above that door is not a clock. It's a sign that says no exit. Oh. And from that point on, I've held on to the chairs and kept coming back because that's all I was asked to do.
Isn't it true you brought a battery into those meetings though, just in case the one in the wall clock stopped?
Look at Paul with the battery. That's awesome.
Yeah, one AA battery is all I had to carry, but and luckily it never stopped. But I've been told that I was also sitting by the main door on occasion because I would go to 8 p.m. beginners meeting, and Gary L. was chairing at that time. Him and Joe were co-chairing. And he said there was times when he couldn't shut the door because I had my foot out the door already. So it's progress, not perfection for this guy. But I tell you, one reason I could stay in the rooms like I've been able to is no one's ever asked me why. I couldn't answer the why question, why I did this or did that, or why did I do that again? I don't know. I didn't know. All I was ever asked to do was just keep coming back. Mm-hmm. And that made it simple enough for me to do.
And it worked.
And it's working yet today. So that's part of my message to pass along to newcomers is just take it easy, get somebody to walk you through the steps as they're directed to be walked through, and keep coming back. And it too will work for you. It's the promises. Right. And I see them daily in people, and starting to see them in myself. It's always harder to see them in me than see them in someone else sitting at the table. And also, I just want to say congratulations again, guys. I'm a late bloomer to the podcast, but it's interesting, and I congratulate you all for doing what you're doing, and I'm glad you're committing to another year.
Well, thanks for stopping by the celebration.
Yeah, thanks, Don. It's funny when you talk about Aurelio's, we just did it, and frankly, we don't do the numbers that much. I mean, we don't do it for the numbers. We do it to help one alcoholic. And but we also like to make sure things are plugged in, so we do peek at the numbers once in a while. It just doesn't drive us. But we have 87% of our listening base is in the United States. 4%, or I'm sorry, I think 6% is in the UK, and then the rest is in Canada, India, Bangladesh.
We're big in Bangladesh, by the way.
And I think we were ranked number 1 in Brazil because I think we were the only sober podcast in Brazil.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Well, congratulations there.
Well, thanks, Don.
Thanks,
we really
Don.
appreciate it. And Paul, I'm going to pull you in for a second because Paul and Don and Tim. By the way, pizza Aurelio's is a pizza place in Chicago. When you come visit, we'll take you to Aurelio's. All right, Tim? You consider it a date. But in the rooms, I'm looking at the Zoom screen now, and I see a lot of people that I share times with in the rooms. And I just want to say that Paul and Don, Caesar, Patrick, these are Megan, mostly Zoom, but not in the rooms. We have different schedules. And Tommy O. These are people I see, and we wouldn't be here without the support of those people because they taught me how to pass it along. And that's, as Glenn said, that's all we ever wanted to do is just pass along the little bits that we have, and hopefully something sticks. But Paul, you and I have talked about this. So Glenn I'm a note taker. So I go into meetings, I still take notes. I just bring a little index card in and I'll just take a couple notes. And then I go in my car and I transcribe them into a notebook. And then my ism makes me go home and take those notebook and put it into a Word doc, right? So it's searchable and, all these other fun things. Glenn thinks I'm over the top.
Yes,
he's probably right.
A little bit.
Yeah. But Paul and I have often talked, what do you do with all these nuggets of information, right? And this podcast has become an outlet for those nuggets of information. It becomes a way we can free flow them back into the community because I hear everything I say, I've heard in the rooms, and I've heard from people on the screen, and it's helped me help the next guy,
Well, I've been blessed to have two really good sponsors. One is Mike the plumber, and he kind of walked me through the steps and got me.
Mike the plumber, is he like a hitman or?
No, not really.
All right.
But Mike
He's an
started
AA
sending
hitman.
me on a daily basis 2 different sets of readings. And I said, where'd you get those from? And he said, well, somebody had started to send those to him, so he started to send them out. So basically, I started a list, and I asked people if they would be interested, and I've got about 40 folks now that get these emails every day.
Yeah, it's great. It's got the daily reflections in it. It'll have a little tidbit. It'll have some inspirational quotes. It's good stuff.
Just a variety of things, and one you get the day of, and then you get it the next day for the readings. When I send it out at night, it's for the readings for the next day. Mm-hmm. And so that's and shame on me because I haven't really done anything about your podcast. And what I will do is I will certainly put a plug in a couple of times to make sure that word gets spread around to that other group too. Whoa. And my other sponsor is also on the call, and that's Don. And he taught me about service. And one of the things that he has done is open my eyes to jumping up and greeting the newcomer. And before, I just kind of used to say, hey, how are you? Nice to see you. I try to make a point now to go up and talk to the newcomers to make them feel welcome. And also, the other thing that Don has done is he seems to have this memory for everybody's anniversary date. So as I'm sitting in meetings now, if it's someone's anniversary, I take a note, put it down, and then when their anniversary comes up, I either give them a call or I text them or do whatever. So he's taught me the importance of, how anniversaries really can help people out.
Right.
And just make sure that, hey, this is really pretty neat. I'm on the right path.
Right.
So,
And Paul, we're celebrating our 1-year podcast anniversary, but I'm going to put you on the spot now. You just celebrated a AA anniversary this week. You want to share that with the party here?
well, on March 31st, I was blessed to have 14 years of sobriety.
Oh, that's amazing. That's great, Paul.
Yeah.
And you did that all together.
Good
I mean,
job.
that wasn't 3 times broken. It wasn't 5 years. That was all together.
Consecutive.
Congrats.
Quite honestly, I had relapsed once, and hence I probably would have had a February date, but March 31st it is.
Wow.
And you know what? I just look on that as where I was 14 years ago as to where I am today.
Mm-hmm.
And this program has given me so much. I have been blessed with meeting people I never would have dreamt I would have even spoken to,
Right.
let alone become real close friends with.
Right.
And that's the beauty of this program, because we're all in the same boat, folks, whether we got 14 days, 14 months, 14 years. 1 day of sobriety, that's all I've got right now. I count that. And,
Right.
because it's something I don't take lightly.
Right.
And always on the lookout, because Patrick says, out there in the parking lot doing push-ups.
That's right.
And I'll never forget that. So, and Mikey, you talked about note-taking, and what I've done over the years is I've read things or maybe heard something somebody said. I just do a brief note thing in my phone.
Oh, you're so high tech.
I try to be. Yeah, it's the only way I can do it. And then what I try to do is to go back at that and look at those and do some journaling on the specific date. I go back to, I think, 2014. And of course, one of the quotes I have is from Dr. John, and it's really simple. Hindsight is insight.
Hindsight is insight. Yeah.
Hindsight is insight. And that was really kind of what triggered me to start writing these things down, because I said, it's pretty cool stuff.
Yeah.
And people are certainly a lot more eloquent than I am.
Yeah.
And anything that, I can use that will, help me as a person, help me to be a better person, a better, better sober person.
Right.
So.
Right. No, we appreciate you. We appreciate you a ton.
Yeah,
Paul.
that's great, Paul. In fact, Paul and Don, I've been in the rooms probably 10 years. I paid attention for 7, but certainly Paul and Don and Patrick were on the road in front of me, and I certainly still look up to you guys. In fact, funny story is, Don, I gave you a nickname, Tap Tap Don, because that was a way so when somebody says something profound. So Mikey wrote it down, and I kind of remembered it mentally, but it was like a brain marker, right? When somebody said something profound, Don would, tap his knee twice, and for the first 3 years when I was just trying to show up and trying to figure out where the bathroom was, right? What I would try to do, this is so funny, full transparency, I would try to say something really profound so Don would tap his knees, and he never did.
He had you figured out.
Oh, he had me figured out for sure, man. And
I've got to tell on myself, though, if I may. No, and that's true. I do the tap tap, but no one's ever questioned why I do it. And I'm glad you think I'm tapping because it's profound, and it could be. It could be three of any of these things. It could be here,
yeah,
amen, or bullshit. So no one knows why I'm tapping, but I'm listening.
You got our studio guy laughing right here.
You just blew it for me, man.
Yeah, Brian is chuckling here. That's fantastic.
Because I think you tap for me once, and now it's probably because it was bullshit.
That's right. I love it. That's fantastic.
I'm scared because every time I talk, he taps.
That's awesome.
So I got somebody who's been quiet in the room, and they kind of slid into the coffee shop, but I'm really going to put him on the spot now. Tommy O, how you doing, my friend?
Gentlemen, how are you?
Good. Tommy O, what's up, brother?
Boy, you use that term loosely.
Yeah, so here's what I want from you, Tommy. I want you just to spend a couple minutes talk, because I know you listen to the podcast, so you can give a little kickback on the feedback on on the podcast, but then I want you to just talk about your sponsor. You know, we just want some dirt on your sponsor.
Yeah, I leave that for the privacy of me and Glenn, so I don't gloat about him. I got to tell you,
I love you, brother. Thank you for that.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm impressed, man. Look at this setup here. Mike, they got you in the kitchen, or what is that?
I know. Well, hey, I got my Dunkin'. America runs on Dunkin'.
Well, no, there's people on social media like, man, how do you get all that recording equipment into the coffee shop?
Yeah, right.
I'm like, no, we bring the coffee shop into the equipment studio.
No, it looks cool. Looks professional. No, you guys have, put this together for a year. I remember when it was kind of like, how apprehensive you were, and man, you guys stuck to this. And full transparency, I'm a hit and misser, so I'm not. I don't hear a ton of the podcasts. I get on rolls where I hear 2 or 3 at a time, and then I don't jump on it for a while. So I don't know.
They call that binging, Tommy.
Yeah, you binge Sober.Coffee. I love it.
You're a binger.
I am a binger, but I did hear Megan's original testimony. And what I'm impressed about most is that she hasn't built a resentment to her sister for 27 times, she counted.
Yeah. Right, awesome. Right.
See if she cleared her throat. Woo, that's impressive.
Yeah.
But,
no, it's good.
But
it's good stuff, yeah.
I must say, there's you guys obviously are a big, huge part of my program, and just your examples of service, the way you guys go to town, whether it's something like this podcast, our groups outside of AA, our groups in AA, our constant communication. It's funny, talk about newcomers, and one thing that I remember about a month into this program, somebody very close to me, and you guys all know him, Don knows him too, he's actually related to me, he said, well, I tell you what, he goes, ship is more than just a building. He said, there's people in there. And he goes, what I'm going to suggest to you, and he said, I wish I would do a better job of it. He said, you need to get to know the people. Don't just walk in and walk out of meetings. He goes, get to know the people. And that's been such a huge part of it now. Was lacking a lot of confidence walking into those rooms, obviously, like a lot of people. And it's built out from there. It's completely built out there. I've got, groups that I spend most of my, non-working, non-family hours with that are AA people. And it's turned my life around. It's brought confidence in every aspect of my life.
Yeah. Isn't that something? Yeah.
Yeah. You never thought that those types of things, but it was great advice, and it stuck with me. Still does to this day. I don't think that'll ever go away. So,
right.
But yeah, as far as newcomers, it's the meetings. Obviously you got to keep coming back to meet the people. But once you get into those meetings, my thing is break down those barriers. Start interacting with the people. Is odd and how hard it might be. Do it. Force yourself to do it.
Right. And like Tim's example, serve. Serve where you can. Chairing and doing the other things like Tim mentioned earlier, right?
Yeah, that's really cool. And that's one of the things I learned early on, the importance of going back to the same meetings. Right. So as soon as I got out of my head zone where, well, that meeting's not for me, and that's just because I didn't like it because it was saying something against what Glenn wanted, right? Mm-hmm. But what I really started to learn that this program was working for other people in the room when I kept coming back to the same meetings and seeing the same people, and I saw the promises come true for them. Mm-hmm. And that really gave me faith that if I stayed in the rooms and just kept doing it, just kept working this program, that they might come true for me.
Right.
And I've seen amazing progress. Like Don said, it's easier for me to see progress in somebody else than in myself, right? Mm-hmm. So there's just a lot of value of just keep coming back to the same meetings, and you really learn from people. And yeah, a lot of times you'll hear the same story repetition can be the mother of all knowledge.
Right.
You know, and my head's so many different places. You know, sometimes I kind of need to hear things 5 times to start
true.
to get
That's a true story, by the way.
You know?
His head is in about 5 different places. I concur. I sit across the table from him. I can't agree with that statement more. But, you know, the other thing that I wanted to mention is the rooms, the physical rooms, yes, there's coming early, staying late. But, again, I'm looking at Megan's Square up here, and, you know, we met in Zoom, and it's possible to create deep relationships even when you're on a Zoom. And Megan, I don't know if you recall, but I remember your first year anniversary and how special that was to me. And we were all in lockdown, man. Right? Remember that?
Yes, and you gave me my 1-year coin.
I gave you my 1-year coin.
That?
Yeah, I gave you my 1-year coin. Yeah.
Yes, your 1 year, but for my 1
Yes.
year.
Yes.
And that was so special. So we did see each other in person.
Yeah,
Now,
we did. We had masks and yeah, that's right. We had like, you know, cosmic suits on and stuff like that. You know, we weren't
Pretty
allowed.
much.
Yeah, we stayed 12 feet apart, but yeah, we did it. Yeah, yeah. So you can create those
yes, we did, and I
relationships
still
even
haven't.
in Zoom, you know,
in Zoom and on social media.
and on social media, right?
Right, Philly Tim?
Yeah, it's good stuff.
Yeah, Tim just texted. He's going through a major thunderstorm there in Philly, so he's having a hard time.
I know he kind of looks cryptic on the Zoom room because it's all black in the background. He's got like a floating head syndrome. You know, I kind of like that. Karen, are you with us? I know you came into the coffee shop, but now I just.
It's more women in here.
I know we got Karen.
Right.
We got Karen now.
There she is.
Thank God I'm outnumbered, Karen.
No, I'm here.
Hey, Paul's got a feminine side. He can, you know, he can lighten things up a little bit.
So congratulations, guys, a whole year.
Thank you, Karen.
Thank you, Karen.
Thanks, Karen.
Fantastic.
And sister, thanks for your
Fantastic.
support. Karen's been on several times. She told her story. Mikey printed out a nice little sheet for me so I can look.
A cheat sheet.
April 25th.
Yeah.
And then she joined for step 7.
Yeah.
And step
I
6.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And
I did.
thank you very much, Karen.
Yeah,
It
you've
was
been
a
a
pleasure.
you've been
Anything
a
to help
great
you guys.
supporter. Yeah. Yeah.
I think what you're doing is wonderful. And I've listened to, I'd love to say every episode, but, you know, I'm trying to be honest here. Most of them, almost all of them. And I download them. I listen to them. I fly a lot, so I listen to them in the airport. I listen to them on a plane when I'm driving in between appointments. So it's good. It's good intake. It's good stuff to fill my brain with rather than, you know, put the news on and hear all the negativity or, you know, it's just good. It's just good listening. So I like it. I like that I can have it anytime. And I know a lot of people that listen to your podcast, and I hear the feedback, and I see that you're making a difference in people's lives. And that's important. You know, not one of us is going to change the whole world, but if every one of us just did some little piece, you know, it would be so much better. So if we all help in whatever way we can, that's fantastic. And I know you guys are doing that. You're doing a fabulous job. And I'm really grateful that you're both part of my life. I really have, I'm really blessed to have you both call you friends.
Well,
Right back at you.
Yeah, right back at you. That's right. And Karen, you just celebrated 1 week of recovery, I think, right? There was an anniversary. Was it 1 week or how much?
It was March 16th. It was 25 years.
Wow.
Boom.
Wow.
But one day at a time.
Nice.
Yeah.
Those years don't matter. It's
No.
the days in those years that count.
Yeah.
You know, there are not a lot of people that are grateful for COVID.
Mhm.
If it wasn't for COVID, I don't think I ever would have met Karen. I mean, and we are similar circles, but
Right.
they never overlapped.
Mm-hmm.
I know. Isn't that weird?
So I met Karen through Zoom, through COVID.
We're going to the same club for how long? And never. But I know we've been at the 7 a.m. together. I just didn't want to talk to you. Maybe you didn't look so friendly then. I don't know.
Well, you aren't the only person that said that. So,
I'm messing with you, brother.
No.
Yeah,
You know,
but, I've
you know, in
enjoyed
fact,
the podcast.
yeah, Karen, let me jump in. We had a guest who knew me back in the early days, and I'm not sure if she used the word asshole, but
Oh,
she
she put you in your place.
she was pretty frank.
Yeah.
Well, we need that honesty, don't we?
Well, that was then. So it's a little different now.
Well, it took me 2 years to ask him to be my, or 2 years, 2 months to ask him to be my sponsor. So
I got engaged faster than that.
I know, that's awesome. I know.
Great.
I know. As soon as so I said to Tom, I said, hey man, I said if you need somebody to kind of just connect with and kind of make sense of some of this stuff, I'd be glad to go out and have coffee or whatever. And so he finally says yes. So like the next week, I take him on like a 6-hour tour of some sober living house in North Chicago, and we're stuck in the car for 6 hours together. And I know what he was.
Storm in January.
I know what he was thinking, because I thought the same thing when my temporary sponsor did it to me for 8-hour Uno day, and I'm like, I don't think I can do this. But Tommy, you definitely hung in there, man.
Yeah. It's actually it was actually turned out to be one of the turning points for me. Right, to be quite honest with you, I was able to unload a lot of stuff that nobody ever heard before. So it was just good timing. Weather cooperated. We had snow in January, which
Totally.
surprise. And Chicago traffic, it made a 2-hour trip into about a 6-hour. So
Did Glenn charge you by the hour, or how did that work out? Was it just like a?
Yeah. No, he didn't actually. I think he bought dinner that night.
Oh,
Yeah, I did. Sandwiches or something.
I love
with
it.
sandwiches in the car.
Yeah, no, we were doing a visit to a sober living house up in Chicago, and we were going to a meeting up there, and I said, come on, Tom, let's go.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And because that's the thing, same thing that Don would have done and Paul would have done, and I just followed people's directions. So
Absolutely.
that's
Well,
great.
we're coming
Great
up to
experience.
the top of the hour on our celebratory podcast, our 1 year.
Yeah, that's great, man. Thanks everybody for jumping on with us. Really appreciate the support. Philly Tim,
Yeah.
brother, great to see you, man. I'm so proud of you. 2.5 years, man. That's from Twitter to 2.5 years. That should be the name of your book.
I know, right? Yeah, there you go.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
congratulations, Tim. That's fantastic. Nice to meet you. Very nice to meet you in the coffee shop here.
Yep. Thank you.
All right, guys. Well, you have a great night. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining us. We appreciate it. We love y'all.
Welcome to year number 2.
Boys.
Be good.
Thanks,
All right,
everybody.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Good night.
Thanks for joining us for today's coffee chat. To contact the show, email us at podcast@sober.coffee. If you need immediate help, the AA hotline is 800-839-1686. The National Suicide Prevention Hotline is 800-273-8255. Remember, Mike and Glenn are sharing their own journey on the path to recovery. Any suggestions, medical or otherwise, are their own experiences and should not be viewed as professional advice. See you next week, and remember, there is a solution.